Taejun had forgotten what desire felt like until he saw her that night. For 5 years, 1,825 days, his body had been a corpse going through the motions. He could negotiate million-dollar deals without blinking, stare down men twice his size without flinching, pull a trigger without hesitation. But he couldn't feel a goddamn thing when a woman touched him. Every doctor said the same thing: psychological, trauma-induced. His sister's death had broken something fundamental inside him, severed the connection between his mind and body in the most intimate way possible. He'd accepted it, became the monster everyone already thought he was: cold, ruthless, dead inside. Then she walked onto that stage. The club was packed, neon lights cutting through smoke, bass rattling his chest, the usual Friday night chaos. Taejun sat in the VIP section, barely paying attention to the associate droning on about shipment routes and percentage splits. Just another business deal. Just another night. Until the lights shifted, a new song started, slow, sensual R&B that made the crowd quiet down. And then he saw her. She moved like sin, wrapped in confidence. Every roll of her hips deliberate, every arch of her spine a work of art. Her skin glowed under the lights, dark and luminous. Her natural hair was wild, free, untamed. But it wasn't her beauty that stopped him cold. It was the way she danced. She didn't perform for the crowd. She existed in spite of them. Eyes closed, lost in the music, completely in her own world. There was no calculation, no seduction, just pure, unfiltered expression. Like she was alone in her bedroom, dancing for no one but herself. And something in Taejun's chest cracked open. Heat. That's what he felt first. A warmth spreading through his stomach, unfurling like a long, dormant flame catching oxygen. Then his heart, his goddamn heart that had been beating mechanically for 5 years, pounded. Actually pounded like it remembered what it was supposed to do. His hands gripped the armrest of his chair, knuckles white, as sensation flooded through him in waves. His body was responding. After 5 days of nothing, his body was finally, impossibly, responding. The associate next to him was still talking. Something about percentages and shipment schedules, but Taejun couldn't hear him over the roar of blood in his ears. His eyes tracked every movement she made, unable to look away, terrified that if he blinked, this feeling would disappear and he'd go back to being dead inside. Minwoo, his right-hand man, followed his gaze and smirked. "Boss, you okay?" Taejun's voice came out rough, unfamiliar even to himself. "Who is she?" "New girl, American, started last week." Minwoo's smirk widened. Why? Why? Because Taejun could feel again. Because his pulse was racing. Because for the first time in 5 years, he felt alive instead of just existing. Because the impossible was happening, and he needed to understand why. Find out everything about her. The song ended. She stepped off stage, utterly unbothered by the thunderous applause, wrapping a robe around herself like she'd just finished a workout instead of setting the entire club on fire. She was walking toward the dressing rooms when a drunk patron grabbed her wrist, slurring something about private dances and money. Taejun moved without thinking. 1 second, he was in VIP. The next, his hand was crushing the man's wrist with enough force to make bones grind. The drunk patron's face went ghost white when he recognized who was hurting him. "Remove your hand, now!" Taejun's voice was lethal, the kind of cold that promised violence. The man stammered an apology, nearly tripping over himself to get away once Taejun released him. Then Taejun turned to face her. Up close, she was even more devastating. Full lips, sharp cheekbones, eyes that assessed him with zero fear and even less interest. She crossed her arms, one eyebrow raised in an expression that clearly said she was not impressed. I had that handled. Her voice, American accent, confident, slightly annoyed, sent another jolt through him. He'd never heard anything more perfect in his life. "You're welcome," he said, waiting for the gratitude that always came when he stepped in. "Did I say thank you?" She looked at him like he was a particularly annoying insect. Most people fell over themselves when Tai-Jun intervened. Most people knew who he was, what he could do, and treated him accordingly. This woman looked at him like he was nobody. And God help him. It made him want her even more. "Most people are grateful when I intervene," he said, a flicker of amusement breaking through his shock. "Most people didn't ask for your intervention. I deal with drunk handsy guys every night. It's part of the job." She tilted her head. "And I don't need some suit with a hero complex making it a bigger deal than it needs to be. It shouldn't be part of the job." "Well, it is. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to change." She started to walk away, and panic, actual panic, flared in Tae-Jun's chest. The feeling was still there, that warmth, that aliveness coursing through his veins. If she walked away, would it disappear? Would he go back to being a corpse? "Wait." She turned back, impatience written across her beautiful face. "What?" "Your name." "Why do you need to know my name?" "Because I'd like to buy you a drink." She laughed, actually laughed at him, the sound rich and genuine and completely unafraid. "Oh, honey, you can't afford me." No one spoke to Tae-Jun like this. No one dismissed him. No one laughed at him. He owned half of Seoul's underground, could end careers with a phone call, had men twice his size terrified of disappointing him. "I own this club," he said, playing what should have been a winning card. "That's cute." I still said no. She was turning away again, and desperation made him blurt out, "Why?" She paused, looking back with something like pity in her eyes. "Because guys like you think the world owes them everything. You think women are just conquests, challenges, and I'm not interested in being your exotic American phase." The words hit harder than they should have, probably because they weren't entirely wrong. Usually they wouldn't be wrong at all. "You think you have me figured out?" "Am I wrong?" She crossed her arms, waiting. Tae-Jun paused, and when he spoke, he was honest in a way that surprised even himself. Usually, no, but not this time. "Sure, that's what they all say." Then she walked away, disappearing into the dressing room, and Tae-Jun stood there with his heart still pounding and his body still responding, feeling more alive than he had in 1,825 days. Min-woo appeared beside him, shock written across his usually impassive face. "Did she just reject you?" "Yes." Tae-Jun touched his chest, feeling his heartbeat like it was a miracle. "That's never happened before." "I know." He turned to Min-woo, and there must have been something desperate in his eyes, because his friend's expression shifted to concern. "Find out everything about her, where she lives, where she goes, everything." "Boss, are you okay? You look—" "I felt something, Min-woo." Tae-Jun's voice cracked slightly. "When I watched her dance, when she brushed past me, I felt something." Understanding dawned in Min-woo's eyes, followed by shock. Everyone in Tae-Jun's inner circle knew about his condition, about the 5 years of numbness, about the parade of specialists who couldn't fix what his sister's death had broken. "You mean?" My body responded, for the first time in 5 years. Tae-Jun looked toward the dressing room where she disappeared. "She brought me back to life, and I need to understand why." "What are you going to do?" Something dangerous and desperate flashed in Tae-Jun's eyes. "Whatever it takes to keep feeling this way." 2 hours later, Tai-Jun sat in his office above the club, staring at the file Min Woo had compiled with terrifying efficiency. Jada Johnson, age 26, birthplace, Atlanta, Georgia, USA. The facts were all there. Visa status, address in Itaewon, employment history, financial records showing she lived modestly and sent money home every month. No criminal record, no red flags, just a dancer trying to make it in a foreign country. But the facts didn't explain it. Didn't explain why his hands were still trembling. Why he could still feel the ghost of heat in his veins. Why for the first time in 5 years, his body felt like it belonged to him again, instead of being a shell he inhabited. He'd tried everything over the years. Western doctors who prescribed pills that did nothing, therapists who talked about trauma and healing, traditional Korean medicine, even shamans his mother had recommended before she died. Nothing worked. His body remained stubbornly unresponsive, a physical manifestation of the emotional death he'd experienced when his sister was killed in that car accident. But tonight Jada had danced, and he'd felt. Minwoo entered with coffee, taking one look at his boss and sighing. "You should go home, get some rest." "Where does she go after work?" "Boss, it's 2 a.m. You can't just..." "Where does she go?" Minwoo knew that tone, knew there was no arguing when Tai-Jun got like this. Usually straight home. Sometimes stops at a 24-hour cafe in Itaewon, the one near the mosque. Tai-Jun stood, grabbing his jacket. "Let's go." "You're really going to follow her?" "I'm not losing this. Whatever this is, I'm not losing it." The back alley behind the club was dimly lit, the kind of place where bad things happened if you weren't careful. Tai-Jun leaned against his Mercedes, pretending to check his phone, waiting. At 2:30 a.m., the back door opened and Jada emerged. She'd changed into street clothes, ripped jeans, leather jacket, her natural hair pulled up into a high puff. She looked completely different from the goddess on stage. More real, more herself, and somehow even more beautiful. She stopped dead when she saw him, her face cycling through surprise, annoyance, and resignation. "You've got to be kidding me." Tai-Jun looked up, attempting innocent surprise. "Oh, hello." "Don't oh hello me, you're stalking me." Stalking is such an ugly word. I prefer persistently interested. I prefer creepy as hell. How did you even know I'd come out this way? Lucky guess. She didn't buy it for a second. Uh-huh, and I'm the Queen of England. Your Majesty. A slight smile tugged at his lips. She was not amused. What do you want? Tai-Jun stepped closer, and he couldn't keep the desperation out of his voice. Dinner. One dinner. That's all I'm asking. No. Why not? Because I came to Seoul to get away from complications, from men who think they own everything they see. And you? She gestured at his expensive suit, his luxury car, the bodyguards lurking in the shadows. Your walking, talking, designer, suit-wearing drama. That suit cost 3 months of your rent, actually. Her eyes flashed. Not helping your case. Tai-Jun ran a hand through his hair, frustrated with himself. He was usually smooth, calculated, always in control. But this woman had him completely off balance. I'm not good at this, at asking, at any of this. Then why are you? And here, he was honest in a way he hadn't been in years, letting the desperation show because he didn't know how else to make her understand. Because when I watched you dance tonight, I felt something I haven't felt in 5 years, and I need to understand why. His voice broke slightly. I need to know if it's real. Something in her expression softened, just a fraction. What did you feel? He met her eyes, letting her see the raw truth. Alive. The word hung between them, heavy with meaning she couldn't possibly understand yet. She studied him for a long moment, and he could see her weighing options, trying to figure him out. Finally, she sighed. One dinner, somewhere public, and you're paying. Relief flooded through him so intensely it was almost painful. Done. And if you show up at my apartment or follow me anywhere else without an invitation, I'm getting a restraining order. Clear? Crystal. Good. Now stop lurking in alleys like a beautiful stalker and text me the details. She paused. You do have my number, right? Since you apparently know everything about me, I may have acquired it. Of course you did. Creep. But there was the hint of a smile on her lips. Good night, stalker. Good night, Jada. She walked away, and he watched until she was safely in a taxi, his heart still racing in his chest. Min Woo emerged from the shadows. You've got it bad, boss. Tae-jun touched his chest again, feeling the steady thrum of his pulse, the warmth still spreading through his veins. After 5 years of nothing, of emptiness, of being a walking corpse, he could feel again. I've got it everything. She woke me up, Min Woo. After 5 years of being dead inside, she woke me up. So what now? Tae-jun turned, and there was something fierce and determined burning in his eyes. The look of a man who'd just been given back something he'd thought was lost forever, and would burn down the world before he let it slip away. Now I make sure I never go back to sleep. If you're already enjoying this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because the story is about to begin, and you're not going to want to miss this. Tae-jun chose a traditional Korean restaurant for their first date, elegant but not ostentatious, with private booths that offered intimacy without feeling predatory. He arrived 20 minutes early, which was ridiculous. He was Kim Tae-jun. He didn't arrive early for anyone, except apparently he did for her. When Jada walked in wearing a simple black dress that somehow made her look more stunning than any stage costume, his heart kicked against his ribs. Still working, still alive, because of her. She slid into the booth across from him, eyeing him with amusement. You look nervous. I'm not nervous. He was terrified. What if the feeling disappeared? What if this was a fluke? Liar. She picked up the menu. So, you clean up nice when you're not lurking in alleys. You're beautiful. Yeah, I know, but thanks for noticing. She said it without arrogance, just simple confidence, and it made him want to smile. The server came and Tae-jun ordered for both of them in Korean, then caught her raised eyebrow. Too presumptuous? Little bit, but I'll allow it since I can't read the menu anyway. She leaned back, studying him. So, club owner / stalker / mob boss. That's quite the resume. I prefer entrepreneur with diverse interests. I prefer walking red flag. But sure, let's go with yours. He laughed. Actually laughed, and couldn't remember the last time he'd done that genuinely. You don't pull punches, do you? Life's too short for bullshit, especially when I'm sitting across from someone who probably has people killed before breakfast. After breakfast, usually, before interferes with digestion. She blinked, then caught the slight quirk of his lips. Did you just make a murder joke? Too soon. Disturbingly funny, actually. She shook her head. I should not find that attractive. But you do? I'm deciding. The food arrived and she took a bite, her eyes widening. Okay, this is amazing. You're buying points back with good food choices. They ate, and the conversation flowed easier than Tae-jun expected. She was sharp, funny, called him on his bullshit, and didn't seem intimidated by who he was or what he did. Every smile she gave him, every laugh, sent warmth cascading through his chest. He was afraid to move too much, afraid to do anything that might break whatever spell was making his body remember how to feel. "So why soul?" he asked. She deflected with a shrug. "Why not?" "You're running from something." Her guard went up immediately. "You don't know that." "I know running. I recognize it." He kept his voice gentle. "I'm not judging, just curious." She studied him for a long moment, then sighed. "Maybe I just wanted an adventure. Wanted to be somewhere nobody knew me, where I could just exist without expectations. And is it working?" It was, until some mob boss decided I was his new fixation. "I'm not fixated. You had me investigated, showed up at my workplace, uninvited, and are currently sitting here looking at me like I'm the answer to some question you forgot you asked." He couldn't argue with that. Fair point. "So what's your damage?" She tilted her head. "Nobody becomes a crime lord because they had a great childhood." Tae-Jun hesitated. He didn't talk about his past, not with anyone, but something about her made him want to. "My father died when I was 17, left debts, bad debts, the kind that get families killed." He traced the rim of his glass. "So I joined the organization that held the debt, worked my way up, made sure my mother and sister were protected." "Your sister?" His jaw tightened. "She died 3 years ago. Car accident." Jada's hand covered his on the table, warm and real. "I'm sorry." That touch, that simple gesture of comfort. Heat spread from where her skin met his, racing up his arm, flooding his chest. His body was remembering, awakening, coming back to life cell by cell. "After she died, He struggled for words. "I stopped caring about much of anything. Just went through the motions. Built my empire, made my money, but felt nothing. Until..." He met her eyes. "Until I watched you dance." She pulled her hand back slowly, processing. "That's heavy for a first date." "I'm not good at light." Clearly. But she was smiling. "For what it's worth, I came to Seoul partly to find my brother. He came here for work, got into some kind of trouble. Stopped answering my calls 3 months ago." Tae-Jun's instincts prickled, but he pushed the feeling aside. "What's his name?" "Marcus. Marcus Johnson." The name tickled something in the back of his mind, but Seoul was full of foreign workers who got into debt trouble. It was probably nothing. "I'll help you look for him," he offered. "I have resources. Connections." Her face lit up. "Really? You do that?" "Of course." She reached across the table and squeezed his hand again, and the warmth that flooded through him at her touch was almost overwhelming. "Thank you. That means a lot." They finished dinner, and Tae-Jun drove her home despite her protests about being perfectly capable of taking a taxi. Outside her building, she turned to him. "I had a good time, against my better judgment." "Same." He stepped closer, and she didn't step back. "Can I see you again?" "You're going to anyway. Might as well make it official." "Is that a yes?" "That's a fine, but you're still on probation." She smiled. "Good night, Tae-Jun." "Good night, Jada." She turned to go, then paused. "Hey, that thing you said, about feeling alive when you watched me dance?" "Yes?" "I felt it too, when you looked at me. Like you actually saw me, not just a body on stage." She bit her lip. "Just thought you should know." Then she disappeared into her building, leaving Tae-Jun standing on the sidewalk with his heart pounding and a smile on his face. Minwoo pulled up in another car. "How'd it go?" "She said yes to another date. And the feeling..." Tae-Jun touched his chest, feeling the steady rhythm of his heart, the warmth still coursing through him. "Still there. It's still there. Good. Don't fuck it up, boss." "I'm going to try my hardest not to." But even as he said it, That name, Marcus Johnson, nagged at him. He'd check his files tomorrow, just to be sure, just to make certain there were no complications that could ruin this miracle he'd been given, because he'd been dead for 5 years, and Jada had brought him back to life, and he'd burned down the world before he lost that feeling again. Over the next month, Tae-jun became a constant presence in Jada's life, not suffocating, but persistent. He'd show up at her favorite coffee shop with her exact order memorized, appear at restaurants where she was eating with friends, always playing it off as coincidence even though they both knew better. "You know, normal people just text," Jada said one morning, finding him at her usual cafe. "I'm not normal people." He slid her iced Americano across the table, clearly, but she was smiling as she sat down. The truth was, despite her better judgment, she was falling for him. He was intense, yes, dangerous, definitely. But underneath all that darkness was a man who looked at her like she'd hung the moon, who listened when she talked about her dreams, who was trying so hard to be better than what the world expected of him. Their second date was at Gwangjang Market, where she dragged him through the crowded stalls, making him try street food while his bodyguards hovered awkwardly in the background. "You can tell them to relax," she said, biting into tteokbokki. "Nobody's going to assassinate you over fish cakes." "You'd be surprised." But he was smiling, actually enjoying himself. "Do you ever just turn it off? The whole crime boss thing?" He considered this. No, it's always there. The awareness, the danger. That sounds exhausting. It is. He watched her eat, something soft in his expression. "But with you, I forget sometimes. I just exist." Their third date was him teaching her Korean curse words, which backfired spectacularly when she used them on a rude customer at the club, and Tae-jun had to smooth things over with the man. "You're trouble," he told her afterward, fighting a smile. "You love it." He did. God help him. He did. The physical tension between them built gradually, a hand on her lower back as he guided her through crowds, his jacket around her shoulders on cool nights, the way his eyes tracked her every movement when she danced, dark and hungry. One night, after her shift, he took her to Han River. They walked along the water, and she finally asked the question that had been bothering her. "Why me? Really, you could have anyone." He stopped walking, turning to face her. "Because you looked at me like I was ordinary, like I was just a man, not a monster or a boss or anything else. Just me. You are just a man." "I haven't felt like one in a long time." She stepped closer, and he could smell her perfume, feel the heat radiating from her body. "And now?" "Now I feel everything." His voice was rough. "Too much sometimes. That's not a bad thing. It's terrifying." His hand came up to cup her face. "You're terrifying." "Good. You should be scared." "I am. Scared of losing this. Losing you." She rose on her tiptoes and kissed him. Just a soft press of lips. Testing. He responded immediately, his other arm wrapping around her waist, pulling her closer. The kiss deepened, and heat exploded through his body, confirming what he'd known since that first night. She was his miracle, his resurrection. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, she smiled. "Wow." "Yeah." He pressed his forehead to hers. "Wow. Take me home. Your place." His heart stuttered. "Jada, I want this. I want you." She looked up at him. "Unless you don't, I want you." The words came out desperate. "God, I want you, but I need to tell you something first." "Okay." He'd planned this conversation differently, somewhere private, but the words tumbled out here on the riverbank. "I have a condition, psychological. For 5 years, I haven't been able to. My body hasn't responded to anyone. Not physically, not emotionally. She processed this. But with you, everything works. You brought me back to life. That night at the club, watching you dance. It was the first time in 5 years I felt anything. Understanding dawned in her eyes. That's why you were so intense. Why you kept showing up. I was terrified it would stop, that I'd go back to being dead inside. She cupped his face. And now? Now I'm still terrified, but for different reasons. What if I can't? What if it doesn't work when we... She kissed him again, silencing his fears. Then we figure it out. Together, no pressure. You're amazing. I know. She grinned. Now take me home, Kim Tae-jun. Let's see if your miracle holds up. His penthouse was stunning. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul, minimalist design, expensive everything. But also unexpectedly warm, with books and art and personal touches that surprised her. This isn't what I expected, she said, looking around. What did you expect? More mob bossy. Where are the tiger rugs? He laughed, pulling her close. Downstairs. I saved those for company. She wrapped her arms around his neck. I'm nervous. Me too. Really? The big bad crime lord is nervous? Terrified. He kissed her forehead. You matter too much. Then let's matter together. He carried her to the bedroom, actually lifted and carried her, and she laughed against his neck. The room was dark except for the city lights streaming through the windows, casting everything in a soft glow. He laid her on the bed with a gentleness that contradicted everything she knew about him, then hovered over her, just looking. What? She asked. Making sure you're real. Very real. She pulled him down. Now kiss me. He did, and it was slow and deep and perfect. His hands shook slightly as he undressed her, like she was something precious. When she reached for him, helping him out of his shirt, he sucked in a breath. Still working? She asked softly. Still working. God, yes, still working. They moved together slowly, learning each other. His face showed wonder, disbelief, overwhelming emotion. I can feel you, he whispered, voice breaking. I can feel everything. I've got you. She wrapped around him. I've got you. And they moved together, two broken people making each other whole until they both shattered and reformed, tangled in expensive sheets with the city lights, witnessing their miracle. Afterward, he held her like she might disappear, his face buried in her neck. Thank you, he whispered. For what? For bringing me back to life. She kissed his temple. Thank you for making me feel seen. They fell asleep wrapped around each other, neither knowing that in Tae-jun's office, a file sat with Marcus Johnson's name on it, waiting to destroy everything they were building. The morning after was perfect. Jada woke tangled in sheets that probably cost more than her monthly rent, sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows, and Tae-jun watching her with an expression of pure adoration. Creepy, she mumbled. Very creepy. I wanted to make sure you were real. Very real, very sore. Concern flickered across his face. Did I hurt you? She smirked. In the best way possible. Relief transformed into a slow, dangerous smile. Good. They spent the weekend in his penthouse, cooking together, talking, making love until they were both exhausted and happy. It was the most normal Tae-jun had felt in years, and the most alive Jada had felt since coming to Seoul. But reality crashed back Monday morning. Tae-jun was in his office when Min-woo dropped a file on his desk with a heavy thud. The one he'd been avoiding for 3 weeks. The one with Marcus Johnson's name on it. You need to look at this. Now. Tae-jun opened it and his blood ran cold. Marcus Johnson. American. borrowed $50 million won from the Red Dragon Syndicate 8 months ago. Couldn't pay. Taejun's organization had bought the debt to prevent the dragons from killing him. Marcus was currently working at one of their warehouses, paying off what he owed. 4 more months, and he'd be free. The dates lined up perfectly. Taejun had acquired Marcus's debt 2 weeks before meeting Jada. It was pure coincidence. He hadn't known, couldn't have known, but she'd never believe that. Fuck. He dropped his head into his hands. You have to tell her, Minwoo said. She'll leave me. Maybe, but if you don't tell her and she finds out, she'll hate you. Taejun looked at his friend, anguished. I just got her. I can't lose her. Not yet. The longer you wait, I know. He stood, pacing. I know, I need time to figure out how to explain. There's no good way to explain this. Then I'll make one. But days turned into weeks, and Taejun still hadn't told her. Every time he tried, the words stuck in his throat. Every time he looked at her, laughing at his terrible jokes, dancing in his kitchen, sleeping peacefully in his bed, he couldn't bring himself to risk losing her. Meanwhile, Jada's investigation into her brother continued. She asked questions at different clubs, showed his photo to people, followed every lead that went nowhere. One night, she was at a bar in Gangnam when a bartender recognized Marcus's photo. Yeah, I remember him. Nice guy. Got into trouble with loans. Jada's heart raced. What kind of trouble? The bartender looked nervous. Red Dragon Syndicate. Bad people. When he couldn't pay, they were going to kill him. Is he dead? The question came out strangled. No. Someone bought his debt. He's working it off somewhere. Who bought it? The bartender's nervousness intensified. I really can't say. These people are dangerous. Please. Jada gripped the bar. He's my brother. The bartender sighed. Kim organization. That's all I know. Now please leave before someone sees us talking. Jada left, mind racing. Kim organization. Taejun's last name was Kim, but Seoul was full of Kims. It was probably just coincidence, right? That night, she went to Taejun's penthouse for dinner. He'd cooked, Korean-American fusion that smelled amazing, but he seemed tense. You okay? She asked. Fine, just business stress. They ate, and she debated telling him about the lead. Finally, she did. I got some information about Marcus today. Taejun went very still. What kind of information? Someone said he got in trouble with the Red Dragon Syndicate, that someone bought his debt. She watched his face. The Kim organization. His expression was carefully blank. That's a common name. I know, but do you know them? Could you ask around? This was it. The moment. He should tell her. He opened his mouth. I'll look into it. I promise. And lied instead. Thank you. She hugged him, relieved. Thank you so much. He held her, hating himself. Of course. That night, after she fell asleep, he lay awake staring at the ceiling. Tomorrow. He'd tell her tomorrow. But tomorrow came and went, and the next day, and the next, until 2 months had passed since that first night at the club, and Taejun was living with a time bomb, terrified of the explosion, but unable to defuse it. They were happy, genuinely, perfectly happy. She'd started staying at his place more often than her own. He'd introduced her to his crew, who treated her with respect, bordering on reverence, because their boss was finally alive again. She'd taught him to dance properly, and he'd shown her parts of Seoul only locals knew. They were building something real, and he was going to destroy it with his cowardice. One evening, Jada's friend Soo Jin pulled her aside at the dance studio. I need to tell you something about Taejun. Jada's stomach dropped. What? My cousin works at one of his warehouses. He mentioned an American guy named Marcus working there. I didn't think anything of it until you showed me your brother's photo last week." The world tilted. "What are you saying?" Sue Jin pulled out her phone, showing a grainy photo taken from a distance. A man loading boxes in a warehouse. Marcus, older, thinner, but unmistakably her brother. "I think Tai-jun has your brother." Jada stared at the photo, everything inside her going cold. "Where is this?" "Jada, you can't just go there. These people are dangerous." "Where?" Sue Jin gave her the address. An hour later, Jada stood outside the warehouse, heart pounding. She talked her way past the guards, walked into the main space, and there he was, Marcus, alive, working, in Tai-jun's warehouse. "Marcus!" He spun around, shock and horror warring on his face. "Mara, how did you—" She ran to him, hugging him fiercely. "Oh my God, you're alive, you're okay." "You shouldn't be here." He pulled back. "Does he know you're here?" "Does who—" She stopped. "Tai-jun?" Marcus's expression confirmed everything. Behind her, a familiar voice. "Jada." She turned slowly. Tai-jun stood there with Minwoo and 2 guards, looking devastated. "You knew?" Her voice shook. "This whole time you knew. Let me explain. How long?" His silence was damning. "How long?" 2 months, he admitted quietly, "since you first told me about him." The betrayal hit like a physical blow. 2 months. They'd been together for 2 months, sleeping together, building something, and he'd known. "You lied to me." "I was trying to protect you." "Protect me or protect yourself." Tears streamed down her face. "You knew I was looking for him. You watched me suffer, watched me worry, and you said nothing." "I was scared." "Of what? Losing me?" "Well, congratulations." Her voice broke. "You lost me anyway." "Jada, please." "Don't." She stepped back. "Don't touch me. Don't come near me. We're done." "No? I trusted you." The words came out raw. "I loved you, and you lied to my face for 2 months. I love you too." "Then you should have told me the truth." She turned to Marcus. "I'll figure out how to get you out, legally." "Mara, it's not that simple." "It has to be." She walked toward the exit. Tai-jun moved to follow. "If you follow me," she said without turning, "I will get that restraining order. Stay away from me." Then she left, taking Tai-jun's heart with her. 3 days of hell. Tai-jun didn't sleep, barely ate. He respected her wishes and didn't follow, didn't call, didn't show up. But he had men watching from a distance, making sure she was safe. She was staying with her friend Maya, throwing herself into work, dancing until her body gave out, anything to avoid thinking about him. Minwoo found his boss staring at nothing in his office. "You look like death." "I feel worse." "So do something. Grand gesture. Isn't that what works?" "This isn't a movie." I betrayed her trust. Tai-jun's voice was hollow. "There's no coming back from that." "You're giving up?" "I'm respecting her wishes." But the universe had other plans. On the 4th night, Jada was walking home from the studio when a van pulled up. Hands grabbed her, cloth over her mouth. She fought, but there were too many. Everything went black. She woke tied to a chair in a dingy warehouse, head pounding. 3 men with red dragon tattoos surrounded her. "Welcome back, pretty girl." Terror spiked through her. "What do you want?" "Your boyfriend, ex-boyfriend." The leader grinned. "Kim Tai-jun took something from us. We're taking something from him. We broke up. He won't care." "Let's test that theory." They called him, put her on the phone. "Tai-jun?" Her voice shook despite her attempts to sound strong. "Jada." The raw emotion in his voice nearly broke her. "Are you hurt?" "I'm fine. Don't give them anything. I'm not worth—" "You're worth everything." His voice was fierce. "Do you hear me? Everything." They took the phone away, made their demands. Marcus and 50 million won. 24 hours. Taejun's war room erupted into controlled chaos. Maps, weapons, tactical gear. His entire crew assembled. "We get her back." His voice was deadly calm. "And then I burn the red dragons to the ground. Boss, if we go to war, then we go to war. They took her, they threatened her, they die." Marcus appeared in the doorway. "I'm coming." "No, she's my sister. This is my fault. I'm coming." Taejun studied him, then nodded. "You follow my lead." 6 hours later, they'd traced the location. Abandoned factory in Incheon. Taejun's plan was simple. He'd go in the front as a distraction. His team would extract Jada from the sides. If anyone hurt her, everyone died. "If this goes wrong," he told Minwoo, "make sure she gets home safe, back to America, away from all this. It won't go wrong. If it does." Taejun walked in alone, briefcase in hand. "I'm here." The Red Dragon leader appeared on the second floor, gun pointed down. "Where's Marcus Johnson?" "First, let me see her." They dragged Jada into view, bruised, split lip, but alive. Her eyes widened when she saw him. "You shouldn't have come. Wild horses couldn't keep me away." "How touching. Now, where is Marcus?" "Here's the new deal," Taejun said calmly. "You let her go. I give you the money. We all walk away." "That's not..." "It's the only deal, because if she dies, I will hunt down everyone you've ever loved and make them beg for death. Your choice." The standoff lasted seconds. Then Minwoo's team struck. Gunfire. Chaos. Taejun moved like death itself, taking down guards, climbing stairs. The leader grabbed Jada, gun to her temple. "Stay back!" Jada met Taejun's eyes. "Do you trust me?" Understanding flashed between them. She slammed her head back, dropping. Taejun fired. The leader fell. Taejun was beside her instantly, untying her, checking for injuries. "Are you okay? Did they hurt you? I swear." She grabbed his face and kissed him. Hard, desperate, alive. When they broke apart, both crying, she whispered, "I'm still mad at you." "I know. You broke my heart. I know. But you came for me. Always." He pressed his forehead to hers. "I'll always come for you." The safe house was quiet. Marcus was being checked by a doctor. Jada sat on the couch, wrapped in Taejun's jacket. "I'm sorry," he said quietly, "for lying, for not telling you. I was terrified of losing you and I lost you anyway. Why didn't you just tell me? Because I'm a coward. Because I'd just gotten you back, gotten myself back, and I couldn't bear the thought of being dead inside again." She looked at him. "Marcus told me you saved his life, that without you, the Red Dragons would have killed him. That doesn't excuse the lying." "No, it doesn't." She took a breath. "But I understand why you were scared. I'm scared too. Of this. Of you. Of how much I love you even when I shouldn't." His head snapped up. "You love me? I'm furious with you. But yes, I love you." She laughed bitterly. "Which makes me an idiot." "You're not an idiot, you're brave. You saw the man underneath the monster. Don't romanticize this." "I'm not. I'm just trying to figure out if there's any chance you can forgive me." She was quiet for a long time. "I want to. I want to find a way back, but things have to change. Anything. No more lies. Ever. Even if the truth is ugly. Done. You get out of this life. Legitimate businesses only. Already started the transition. It'll take time, but I'll do it. And therapy. Both of us. Together and separately." Agreed. She looked at him, seeing sincerity and desperation in love. Then, "Okay, we try. but you're on probation." Relief flooded his face. "I'll take it." He pulled her close and she let him, both of them holding each other like lifelines. "I love you," he whispered. "I'll spend the rest of my life proving I deserve you." "You better." 1 year later, the wedding was intimate, fusion of Korean and American traditions. Jada wore a white gown, then changed into a hanbok. Marcus walked her down the aisle. Tai Jun had kept his promises. Legitimate businesses only, weekly therapy, complete honesty. When they exchanged vows, his voice shook with emotion. "You brought me back to life. You saw me when I couldn't see myself. You're my miracle." Hers was equally raw. "You frustrate me, challenge me, make me crazy, but you also make me feel alive. You're my unexpected everything." They kissed as husband and wife, both grinning like idiots. At the reception, their first dance was to the song from that first night at the club. "Can you believe we almost didn't make it here?" she whispered. "I would have found a way. You're inevitable. We're inevitable." She rested her head on his chest, feeling his heartbeat. Strong, steady, alive. "I love you," she said. "I love you more." "Impossible. Watch me prove it for the rest of our lives." And he did. 5 years later, they stood in their new dance academy, Second Chances, with their 3-year-old daughter dancing enthusiastically between them. "Not bad for a mob boss and a dancer," Jada teased. "Reformed mob boss." He pulled her close. "And you were always more than just a dancer. You were the woman who saved me. We saved each other." Their daughter tugged on Taejun's pants. "Daddy, watch me spin." He scooped her up, spinning until she shrieked with laughter. Jada watched them, heart full. They'd been through hell and back, but they'd made it. Sometimes the best love stories start in the darkest places. Sometimes you have to die to learn how to live. And sometimes a stranger's dance could resurrect a dead man's heart. Did Taejun deserve forgiveness, or should Jada have run? Drop your honest thoughts below. Could you forgive someone who hid your brother's location for 2 months? I need to know where my viewers draw the line. Drop your city below. Where are you watching from? Let's see how global this romance fam is. If you love this dark Afro-Korean romance, like and subscribe for more international love stories. Made it to the end? Drop a heart below.